How do you know that your case is really worth more than what the defense is offering? You want to know the answer? Come join me on this walk on this deserted island in St. Martin as I share with you the answer to that question. Hi, I'm Gerry Oginski. I'm a New York medical malpractice and personal injury attorney. Okay, you see where I'm shooting video. This is a volcanic island. There is nothing around here. There is nobody on here. In order to get here, my wife and I had to trudge through for about 5 or 10 minutes through shallow water, but very rocky water, all the way down there, and then make it to another island there, and then we walked here to this volcanic island where there's a little bit of shade and there's a little bit of wind buffering, so you get good audio quality. All right, so I have a few minutes while my wife is picking seashells to share this great information with you. So here's the scenario. You brought a lawsuit against your doctor claiming that he was careless and that his carelessness was a cause of your injury and that your injuries are significant and permanent. And now what happens? The doctor denies all of your allegations. Now your case goes through the entire litigation process. As your case is coming up for trial, the defense finally decides to negotiate. They finally decide to say, you know what? We're going to try and negotiate this case. We think it's worthwhile to try and settle. Okay, so now they make you a substantial offer. And now I relay that offer to you and let you know, hey, Mrs. Jones, just want to let you know the defense recognizes that this case is worthwhile to settle. And now I tell you what their offer is. And you turn around and tell me, absolutely not. My case is worth so much more compared to what they're offering. And you know what I say? I say, how do you know what the true value of your injuries are? How do you really know what appellate courts in New York have determined is the true value of your injury? How do you know that they haven't reduced huge verdicts? How do you know that? And you know what the response is usually? Well, my friend told me that in this instance, X, Y, and Z. Oh, I read in the newspaper that this person got all this money, and therefore my injuries are so much more serious than what this person got. Therefore, my injuries are worth so much more. Now, that's typically what will happen. They're using other people's information, other information that they have obtained online or read about in the news, to now value their own case. Plus, they have blinders on most of the time, but they think that their injuries are so unique that it must be worth so much more than everybody else in the entire universe. And as a result of that, whatever offer the defense makes, clearly it's not enough. Now, what happens in that instance? Well, what happens is that I have to have a realistic conversation with my client. I tell them, listen, Mrs. Jones, here's what the appellate courts have determined is really the value of this type of injury. Now remember, as I said, every case is individual, every case is different. You might have a similar injury with a different aged individual who got hurt. Somebody who is 25 years old and is now permanently disabled for the rest of their life, that has a significantly higher value than somebody who is 85 and suffers the same type of injury. Now, that's not to minimize the injury that you suffered. However, in terms of putting a value, a number on your particular case, the defense does the same exact research that we do. And they have a good understanding and a good idea as well of what the appellate courts have determined is truly the value of your injury. There's also a difference between going all the way to trial, getting a verdict, appealing it, and now having a value, compared to settling this before you have to go through the entire trial process and before you have to go through the entire appellate process. Go back to the question I raised in the title of this video. How do you really know what the true value of your injuries are? I'll tell you what you can't do. You cannot compare your injuries and your value to something you read about in the newspaper. You cannot compare your injuries and the type of case you have to, let's say, Stella Liebeck in the McDonald's coffee cup case. You can't do that. You can't compare your injuries to a different type of case, let's say it's a trip and fall case, resulting in a fracture. Maybe your case involves a failure to diagnose cancer. Your injuries are so different. And just because you read about it, or somebody else heard about it, or somebody else knows somebody who settled the case, or went all the way to verdict and got X number of dollars, that doesn't mean in any respect that the value of that case is similar to yours. So why do I share this information with you? I share it with you because it's really important to understand. Even if you're contemplating bringing a lawsuit and you're trying to understand, okay, how much is my case really worth? How much money can I get as full and fair compensation for the injuries and the harms that this doctor, this careless doctor, caused you? The bottom line is every single case is different. And you cannot compare what you hear about in the news. You cannot compare to what you heard about from a friend down the street or a family member who suffered a similar type of injury. You can't do that. Why? Because every case is different. You know, I realize you're likely watching this video either because you love the scenery and wanted to see where I'm shooting video today, or you really wanted to learn how these types of cases work. Well, if your matter did happen in New York and you have not yet started a lawsuit and are thinking about bringing a case, what I invite you to do is pick up the phone and call me. You know, I answer questions like yours every single day, and I'd love to talk to you. You can reach me at 516-487-8207 or by email at Gerry, Gerry, at Oginski-law.com. That's it for today's video. I'm Gerry Oginski. Have a fantastic day.